I'm Dr. Andrew Newberg from the Department of Integrative Medicine and Nutritional Sciences at Thomas Jefferson University in Philadelphia. I'm also the co-author of a new book called Brainweaver. In this book, we talk a lot about how you can actually make your brain healthier by thinking about things along a multidimensional model of who you are as a person. What I mean by that is that in the regular world of medicine, we typically think of ourselves as biological. So when it comes to the brain, we're talking about the thing that's inside your head and the different neurons and the interconnections and the neurotransmitters and so forth that help us to think and feel what we do. But there are other dimensions of the human person, including a psychological, a social, and a spiritual dimension. And in order to be as optimally healthy as possible and make your brain as optimally healthy as possible, you need to take advantage of all four of those dimensions. Now, of course, for each person, one or more of those dimensions may play a more prominent role in your life. You may be a particularly emotional individual, and so the psychological part of yourself is important to make sure that it's healthy and well balanced. You may have a very strong spiritual part of your life. You may be a deeply religious individual or just someone who has many spiritual pursuits as part of their life, and that can be important in keeping your brain as healthy as possible. And of course, there is the biological side as well, which means that we need to do our best to keep the biology of our brain working as best as possible. And we can do that through diet and nutrition, through avoiding various stressors, or at least helping us to manage our stressors as effectively as possible. And ultimately, again, taking advantage of the other dimensions of ourselves to keep our brain as healthy as possible. Now, with all of that in mind, to achieve optimal brain health, another important point that we talk about in Brainweaver is the importance of balance, making sure that there is a good balance within each of the dimensions of who we are, as well as across them. So if we become too dependent on our psychological aspects of our brain, or if we become too involved in the biology of who we are and we miss the other parts of who we are, then we become out of balance and we don't work as effectively as we could. One way that we like to think about it is if you think about, for example, a guitar string, if it's too loose, it doesn't play. If it's too tight, it breaks. It needs to have just the right amount of balanced tension so that you can play the songs and play the music that you want to. And our brain is a lot like that. We need to have the balance where we're utilizing all the different aspects of who we are as effectively as possible. And in Brainweaver, we help you to find how to achieve that kind of balance, how to achieve that kind of optimal brain health by looking at all these dimensions of who you are, trying to help you recognize the ones where you're very strong in, where you may actually have some weaknesses, and help you to find ways of optimizing those strengths, reducing the weaknesses, and ultimately creating the kind of brain health that everyone ultimately would like to have.